What happens early in life sets a certain kind of patterning. It sets the stage for how we process everything that happens later. We are motivated by forces that we're not always aware of. The unconscious runs through us, and it would be a good idea to get curious about it. If you want to understand why you feel stuck in certain ways, looking back at early life is an incredibly powerful tool to understand how you've come to expect what you expect and why you repeat yourself.
I don't want the anger.
I do want the anger sometimes.
Kazimar and Alexis talked about it so beautifully. It was heroic and heartbreaking. You watch them and you understand deeply the ability relationships offer to heal from trauma, and then the price it can extract from both participants in a relationship.
If we're both reverting to this protective personality that we've had since children, that personality is like, I don't care about you. I'm protecting my own, you know?
It's not a simple task. Endlessly trying to understand how early history shapes the now. As far as tips, whatever they've been through, there's a limit to what you can do to help repair or save that person or convince them that you're not repeating the trauma of the past. And while you're aware of your limit, make sure you're taking care of yourself.
No, just listen.
Okay.
Just be curious.
Active listening is not a simple thing. It's a profound thing to both offer to another person, but also to go through as a listener. It's really trying to understand what another person is saying on their own terms, to listen through empathy, through curiosity, in a way creating what poets call a negative space within the listener. You don't approach the other person as if you know, but you approach the other person as if you don't know, and you're willing to learn something new. Why don't you hold some of your feelings and make space to actually listen? It involves a lot of letting go of conviction, living in a place of uncertainty, and letting new information from another person come into you. When you're doing that, so many things change.
This really put me on a rocket ship towards what felt like rewiring my brain.
It's all about orienting yourself towards another person. It's not about trying to change them, convince them, tell them. As a partner, as a friend, as a parent, as a listener, often what you need to do is invite the other person to speak their mind. Give them a space to kind of process and work through what they're going through. And sometimes that means tolerate the intense or difficult feelings that they're going through while they're trying to problem solve. So you're giving another person like a very profound experience of being understood and heard, or at least someone really taking interest. But you're also giving yourself the experience of letting go of your own ego. Wow, what a relief. You don't have to be certain. You don't have to know everything. You can learn something new. What an amazing thing to put yourself through. People experience intimacy differently. They want different kinds of intimacy, and people have different levels of tolerance for intimacy, which is one of the things couples need to very gradually discover about each other. Intimacy can be expressed or experienced on the level of physicality, touch, closeness, sex, eye contact. Intimacy can be experienced in mutual understanding, feeling heard or understood deeply. For some people, intimacy is side-by-side play, just like hang out next to each other. Intimacy is a lot of different things for different people. Intercourse off the table just restores some sense of basic pleasure. So many other things you can do.
I just don't know what it looks like.
I'm sure you can think of what it looks like. When you let your guard down, obviously you're making yourself more vulnerable, whether it's piercing through shame or getting physically closer to another person when everything about you feels like, I'm taking a risk. One of the things that gets in the way for couples is when they feel hurt. The inclination people often have is to close up and retaliate.
I would want her to be like much softer.
I'm not going to give you any sort of ammunition to call me soft.
With Ileana and Mitch, one of them was trying to put themselves out there. The other person didn't respond well. The first person would immediately clam up and retaliate, which is an automatic reflexive response rather than retaliate. Tolerate the vulnerability. Let's try it a different way.
I will protect myself at any cost.
Okay, so what am I going to do with you guys then?
I didn't realize that it was costing him.
When people are allowing themselves to be vulnerable, they take both a risk but a chance at getting closer to another person. I think it's in our DNA. When we see vulnerability, we move towards it with care. So putting out vulnerability is an invitation for closeness and for intimacy. An indicator of communication breakdown is you're feeling misunderstood and your attempts to be understood are failing.
I don't do that anymore.
Not anymore.
So then why are you bringing that up again?
Because it happened.
Often attempts to be understood fail because you keep making the same mistake over and over in the way you're talking or what you're saying. But the breakdown is when people feel the inclination to give up, withdraw, or they feel the inclination to speak louder or more adamantly or kind of up the ante.
This is a relationship, but I felt like coming back home, I was coming back home to a teenager.
You're attacking me instead of us attacking the issue. That sort of takes us off the course, and it doesn't necessarily help us win.
When good communication is happening, you don't have to agree, but you feel like something is developing in the back and forth. You're not stuck. You're not needing to insist harder and pierce through some kind of resistant wall. The more serious breakdown is when people get into like a certain kind of groove and they feel like no matter how many times and how hard they try, nothing is changing.
When we get into arguments, then it's either I'm put down or you're mad, so now you want to start talking all of this crap about my family. I want to see how we talk to one another change.
That's like a real impasse, and that's when you want like some other method, like whether it's couples therapy or go to your rabbi or your priest or talk to a friend. I mean, that's when you need like an intervention. You're too scared to say things to each other.
Absolutely.
But why can't you say, I'm having a hard time?
Because I don't want to be weak.
What you call being weak is being courageous. If there's one thing that will help in communication breakdown, it's active listening. It's like the medicine. The show demonstrates that the thing that drives you crazy, that you think is out there in your partner, is not really in your partner, but you can dig some in yourself. Look at what's bothering you, look at what's going on in your life, look at your own history. What is this reminding me of? And you might be able to resolve the communication breakdown within yourself. It's not always a relational issue, and you see that on the show.
There's several times I start thinking in my Orna-isms.
What would Orna say?
What would I ask? What do you want? What do you think you need? What are you hearing? How you extend these kind of lessons beyond the room, it lives on a few different levels. There are things you can say to each other that you can carry with you for the rest of time. I had a patient years ago, she had this acronym to herself, WAIT. Why am I talking? Am I listening right now or am I trying to convince? How am I feeling? Checking in. What do I need right now to speak clearly and actually listen to understand?
I'm trying the Orna technique of just listening for deeper knowing.
Do I need a break? Do I need to hold hands? Do I need to take a breath? Am I really agitated? What is this reminding me of? Am I actually thrown back into a scene from childhood or a scene from my previous relationship? Learning the difference between a defensive response and a curious response is a huge thing that can extend from a therapy situation to anywhere in life. Partners, work environments, with one's children.
You've given us also a lot of great tools.
And we continue to apply it in our lives.
There are also things that you can commit to muscle memory that can extend beyond the therapy. Like, what does it feel like to speak to another person as if you trust them, as opposed to as if they're your enemy? What do I want out of this conversation beyond being right? What does it feel like to calm yourself down rather than to let yourself fly off the handle? Just making that distinction within oneself is a very helpful tool that you can carry with you forever. You can learn it both by going through it yourself, but also by watching other people do it. I've learned things from watching my couples go through work.
Do not make me cry, damn it.
Orna, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.